All right, there's the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, continuing our retro pay-per-view review series. This is going to be WCW Fall Brawl 1995. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Man, let's get into this. This was actually a pretty decent card. Good story build up to all of this, especially with Nitro just starting
Just
prior
kicking
to
off,
this
yeah.
pay per view. One replacement in on the card, as everybody pretty much knows. Vader is out due to his altercation with Paul Orndorf. He's no longer in WCW.
It's a shame, man. I love Vader, man, but
So did I, and I was interested to see him and Hogan actually get along
yeah,
as opposed to being heels for the whole year.
it changed the whole
Or
story
adversaries. Yeah, it did.
because I wonder if that doesn't happen, Luger's not on the team. So where does Luger fit into everything? Does Luger just automatically side with the Dungeon? I don't know. We'll
There's
never
no
know.
talent on this
Because
one.
you would have,
Oh, yeah.
I would have, if I had to guess, I would have thought that Vader would have had to fight the Giant first.
Ooh,
Giant beats Vader, and
naturally.
then he fights Hogan. This is just me off the top of my head, but we'll never know.
Either
Anyway,
way, I think Vader was
yeah,
his time. I believe once you're looking
yeah,
at the direction they're going, his time is done.
yeah. I know it's just
Especially when
sad.
they got the Giant in there now,
Yeah, it's
and
sad.
he's the
I
new
love Vader.
badass. So do I.
All right.
But he's replaced by Lex Luger, who nobody can
This is not a
trust.
bad replacement, though. To be honest with you, like if you're
Oh
gonna,
no, you've got an
yeah.
all-star team
And you
here.
had a good story, and you had a good story too. They were able to salvage it, all things
Yeah.
considered.
So here we go. Let's kick it off. September 17th, 1995, Asheville, North Carolina. 6,600 on hand for this. You got Tony Schiavone and Bobby the Brain Heenan
Hmm.
doing the commentary. The opening match was a number one contenders match in which the winner would get Sting in the United States Championship match. The only thing that's
It was
bogus about this, they freaking did the match on Saturday night.
yeah, I know it's stupid, right?
Why not
I don't
Nitro?
know. Why not Nitro? So this was they called it like an eliminator match slash number one contender, which is actually pretty cool because if you follow boxing, this is what they do. They do eliminators, title eliminators, and whoever wins the match gets the title shot. So it's actually pretty cool that they did that. But yes, to get the shot on Saturday night, I don't know, it's weird.
It was. And this
They're probably
match,
just trying to help Saturday night. Maybe they're trying to boost the ratings on Saturday night. To be fair, you know.
shoot, if I'm them, I'm trying to focus on Nitro at this point. But anyway, Johnny B. Bad versus Flying Brian Pillman. Two supposed friends, although Pillman was getting booed during this match. It was a 20-minute time limit. And naturally, the match did go the time limit, but
Yeah, it
the
was a
board
good
of
match though.
directors had to have a winner. So
Yeah,
this
they
was
had to
almost
extend
a
it.
30-minute match total.
Pillman's about to make his heel turn.
Yeah. And you could tell in this
You can
match,
see.
Johnny B. Bad was busted open,
Yeah.
and the fans booing Pillman. I mean, he wanted to shake hands. Bad is like, nah, I'm not doing that. It was interesting to see Pillman do a tombstone pile driver on this in this match, but he did not get the pin. These two guys were almost like unbeatable, like the final boss in a video game. It just that's how it felt because
Yeah.
anything you did, it wasn't working.
No, but it was good because I mean, Pillman's a great wrestler. I always thought Mark Merrill was a good wrestler. He was a solid wrestler, you
Hmm.
know. So this was a good way to start the show.
It was. And I mean, when you talk about in the overtime, Johnny B. Bad going for a super
Mhm.
sunset flip and not getting a pin, a Hero Karana from the top rope not getting the pin. Finally, the match ends with two guys going for a cross body
Mhm.
on each other. They collide, and Bad just happens to be able to put his hand on Pillman, and he gets the victory.
Yeah.
And Johnny B. Bad's got the title shot against Sting,
Right.
unfortunately, on Saturday night. I think it was like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, and what's stupid is the following night on Nitro he loses to
Yeah,
Paul Orndorf.
I didn't understand that. You just put
He
this
just
guy on a huge
right,
momentum.
right, and then he loses the next night.
Yep. But what do we always say?
WCW.
Yep. This is WCW, where storylines and finishes don't mean squat. In any event, following the match, me and Gene interviewed Ric Flair as he's got a personal match, later on in the evening when he's facing pretty much his brother, Arn Anderson. And our next match on the card, they could have put this on TBS Saturday night. Cobra
Oh yeah,
versus Pitbull Sergeant Craig Pittman.
yeah. Who was the one from the CIA? Which one was from the CIA?
Oh,
Cobra, right?
Cobra.
Cobra was from this.
Cobra. Oh my
That's
God,
all
this
I
is
was thinking was
ridiculous.
GI Joe. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, seriously. And of course, a private comes out giving
Right.
Cobra a message. Meanwhile, here we go. Pittman's coming down from the rafters.
This is way before
Hit,
Sting.
yeah, seriously. It's probably where they got the idea. Hits him with a bunch of bullets before the match even started. This was a garbage match, to say the least. Literally like a minute 22. And he applies the code red, and that's it. Pittman wins. Cobra's out. We're done with the match. Um, like I said, this belonged on a TBS Saturday night or somewhere, but not here. And believe it or not, I think Craig Pittman in a week or two coming up on Nitro, he has a Nitro match, and his moves pretty much don't do squat. And I remember he loses the match. So whatever momentum they were building with this guy, there really wasn't. I couldn't see any direction they were going to go with these two guys. This was just at this time throwing shit against the wall, see what sticks. And the crowd wasn't even into it. So following this, and this was like the weirdest moment of 1995. They show Paul Orndorff flipping out after he lost the match, and he's throwing everything in his dressing room and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, Gary Spivey comes into his dressing room, telling him he sees great things for him. You are Mr. Wonderful. And the next
motivational speaker, yeah.
The next couple of he's a bullshit artist. The next couple of minutes, Orndorff, I am Mr. Wonderful. And I'm like, all right, can we go now? Like, all right, we get it. You're Mr. Wonderful. You've been Mr. Wonderful for 20 years.
This was brutal. Then they're gonna kind of repackage, not really repackage him.
You're gonna repackage a guy that's got 1 foot out the door and 1 foot backstage. I don't understand this. 1995 was pretty much it for him, and you're gonna rebrand a guy that's in his mid 40s and could barely go the time limit. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, maybe they were hoping for something. But
I don't know what they were hoping for. Our next match on the card was another good for him. Who cares for the other one? It was for the television title, the Renegade, aka Wishless Warrior, versus Diamond Dallas Page. Good God! And this is where now Page is starting to come into his own as wrestling.
With the Diamond Doll.
And this is around the time that he inherited. He's got the money. Then eventually he'll lose the money. And this whole thing, then he has to win Battle Bowl or whatever. Then they think he's going to hock the ring. This whole thing that's going on in 1995 with him through 96. And of course, he's got Max Muscle at ringside. And who does Renegade got? Well, 80-pound Jimmy Hart.
Yeah. But, Jimmy Hart's still with him. It's funny that they didn't even think to replace Vader with the Renegade. I guess Hogan gave up on him. He's like, nah.
I think WCW gave up on him because you could tell in this match with him losing the title.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's it. We're done with this gimmick. I mean,
it was the ultimate surprise.
Maybe were they trying to use him as bait to get the Warrior in and
That's
Warrior
a rumor
fights him?
I don't know.
Warrior and Renegade, that would have been a horrible match. I mean, Renegade didn't do bad in the match, but I mean, you got to look past the fact that they're trying to bite off the Ultimate Warrior here.
Yeah, it's just,
and you got to look at him wrestling.
They gave him a bad gimmick. They shouldn't have. Once they stuck him with that gimmick, that was it.
Yeah, it was really pathetic. I mean, a flying, Max Muscle's trying to get involved in flying clothesline to the outside to take out Muscle, but it didn't work. Muscle's holding his leg as he's trying to get in the ring, and that enabled Page to do the Diamond Cutter. He gets the pin, and Diamond Dallas Page is the new WCW television champion. So thank God out the door is probably Renegade, and here starts the awesome career of DDP. So, like I said, good for one, unfortunate for the other. So our next match on the card was this really like two heel tag teams, or was I sensed that Harlem Heat was kind of getting some reaction from the crowd cheering wise, maybe because of who they were fighting. I don't know.
That's what it was.
And then the next night they go back to trying to play in the heel role again. I don't know, but it was for the WCW tag team titles. Bunkhouse Buck and Dirty Dick Slater taking on Harlem Heat with this ridiculous love affair between Colonel Rob Parker and Sherry. I remember seeing this live on Nitro, and I'm like, what are they doing? This is insane. And the match itself wasn't bad, although saying that is being generous considering it's Slater and Buck, of all people. I mean, the fact that they were tag team champions, I'm like, really? So many other teams could have given it. You're giving it to these guys. I mean, whatever. I guess it's fine. During the match, of course, now you got the two rings for War Games. All of a sudden, Colonel Robert Parker gets up on the apron in the second ring. Sherry crawls in, and she's crawling to him. Mind you, there's a match going on here. And of course now he's kissing Sherry. All the time, the Nasty Boys show up, hit Bunkhouse Buck with his own boot, and Stevie Ray gets the pin. And just like that, Parker's out of the tag team titles, and Harlem Heat of the tag team champions, thanks to the help of their longtime rival, the Nasty Boys.
They'll have it for 24 hours.
Before the American males grab it. Oh my God. That's again, why do that? Why not just have the American males beat Bucket Slater? I don't understand it.
They wanted to save it for Nitro. They wanted, that's what it was. But yeah, you're right. You're right. They should have just had them fight on Nitro versus the American males. But I guess it would have meant more if they beat the Harlem Heat. That kind of puts the stamp on them, like they were at,
Yeah, for the 5 minutes they're there.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know.
Nitro had the most title changes, I believe, in their pay-per-views.
Maybe, I don't know.
There was a lot of them. Yeah. Lot.
Well, there's a lot more. Well, to be fair, there's a lot more Nitros. There's only one pay-per-view a month, so. Yeah.
This is true. Now remember, 16 world champions in 2000.
Jeez.
Not all of them on pay-per-view.
I'd rather forget.
So would I. So after the match, Mean Gene, is interviewing Bunkhouse Buck, and he's asking Parker what the hell's wrong with him. Mean Gene's telling him he's been bitten by the love bug, and Parker's telling him, "Don't worry, you'll get your title shot." Yeah, okay. But by this point, I think the stud stable was just about done.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then pretty soon, in about not so far in the distant future, we're gonna get Tennessee Lee instead of Colonel Robert Parker.
Oh God, not that much.
So, yeah, thank God. And then, of course, following that, Mean Gene interviewed Arn Anderson about the upcoming match, and they showed the video package of Flair and Anderson's relationship throughout the years. I guess, behind the scenes, they probably were talking and were like, "Hey, how cool would it be if you and I got in the ring together? It would be really awesome."
Yeah, we hadn't seen it before,
No, storyline-wise, and as a fan, you're looking at it like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it was a good build. It was a good build. Him kind of being in the shadow to a degree, Anderson being a little bit in the shadow of Flair,
Yeah, but the only problem with this match was it wasn't done clean. But it's not supposed to be because this is not a one and done. We're actually going to run with this. So, I mean, the match itself, of course, that's what's next on the card is Arn Anderson versus Ric Flair. The match itself was great. I enjoyed it. They went toe-to-toe with each other. Anderson, trying to go for the DDT on Ric Flair, holds the rope. He knows the maneuvers of this guy. They both know each other very well. Ric Flair going for the figure four leg lock. Arn Anderson knew enough to reverse it. Eventually, the hold will be broken. Now, when I said it wasn't clean and one clean is because, now, mind you, even before this, you got all the wrestlers around the arena.
The ringside, yeah, watching them.
Fillers, probably, for the empty seats. In my opinion, you had all these wrestlers around ringside watching the match. You had American Males, you had Eddie Guerrero, all sorts of guys watching this because it is a big deal. Brian Pillman comes down, distracts Ric Flair, and if you read the lips, you can tell pretty much what Flair told him. F off. And then of course, Pillman gets his attention again, hits Flair. Flair then hits him, and then gets a leg in the back of the head. And Arn Anderson was open for the DDT, and Ric Flair loses to Arn Anderson. This won't be the last time they're going to face. They're actually going to face each other on a couple of Nitros coming up. And even on Nitro, with Pillman doing this,
right? Pillman eventually becomes a full Horseman for
literally a second.
I liked him in the Horseman though.
It wasn't bad.
I'm a Pillman fan.
I knew he deserved the push. He was getting the push, and for whatever reason, for his term leaving, more than likely they decided to end the push. So, and I thought he actually could be good up in that, facing that, type of talent. I guess they thought otherwise. So now we got the video package for the War Games match between the Dungeon of Doom and the Hulkamaniacs.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And of course, they showed earlier in the day, and I love this. Big Show. Okay. No, not yet.
Not yet.
The Giant in the monster truck
Yep.
running over the Harley Davidson.
Oh God, the Harley Davidson that
And,
the Hulkamaniacs had got him or something.
and you remember what Heenan said? He goes,
And,
Heenan said the Giant was sorry. He's what? He's sorry he didn't get a chance to run over
right,
Hulk
Hogan.
Hogan.
Yeah, this was so bad though, man.
Hogan's beating. He's beating up the monster truck. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, and we saw on Nitro they showed like the full clip because I don't think they showed the entire clip on this. They showed
No,
some
they
of
showed
it.
the full clip on Nitro.
Right, Hogan was yelling at him, "Come on!"
And he's
He
beating
starts
it up.
banging on.
I'm probably
this guy,
referring to the Nitro clips.
the giant, the giant is yelling. It's so over the top, man. Not to mention, oh, it's so over the top. I love it though. I love it. It's hilarious.
This sets up that monster truck match at
Right,
Halloween.
right, yeah,
That
exactly.
god awful thing that they
But
did.
not to mention the whole thing with the dungeon, like when Hogan went to the dark side and he's like, "There's no Hulkamaniacs here," and then they throw him a beating in there. The giant chokes him, and so yeah, and then yep.
I mean, the Giant started making the Dungeon of Doom a little bit better,
yeah,
but not much.
And then the mini,
we at this point we really only wanted to see the Giant.
and they had to be clever with the editing for the mini movie that was with Sting and Vader and Macho Man where they're running and the explosions. So they edited Vader out of there. So I think Vader was in the. I think he was. I know he was in the photo shoot. I think he was in the video. But that was good stuff. So
and then of course everything that led up to Luger become part of the team.
Right.
So now all of a sudden they're all copacetic because Mean Gene is interviewing all Hogan, Sting, Luger, Savage. Savage is taking his meds. He's calm now. You know, he's got no problem.
They all had the war paint
Luger.
on. They look cool though, man. They remind me. You know what? This Survivor Series. I was just thinking. I know this is not
exactly
WWF, but I'm thinking like this is the Survivor Series team. Could you imagine?
Oh my! And the last time I seen Hogan in the camouflage is when he had that Desert Storm match with Sergeant Slaughter. Yeah. Not to mention, I think he also had it on the photo of the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, with Hogan and
would have been cool if he came out in the camo at that SummerSlam.
Yeah,
but they all looked good. They all looked good. They were pumped, ready to go. So here we go. We've got War Games. If Hogan's team wins, Hogan gets the Taskmaster in the ring.
And you knew the Giant not being on this team, you knew that he had a fact. We'll get into it later. He had a factor in somehow because you're like, why isn't he on the team?
I was hoping for it,
but it makes sense.
They had to keep him like a threat to Hogan. Like if he
loses
like a
mystery,
Dungeon of Doom, it takes
it
away.
Yeah. So,
but you got Kamala, you got the Zodiac, you got Shark, and you got Ming. Why not keep his name for freaking Avalanche? I mean, at least it worked. By this point, I felt bad for the man.
The Shark. Oh, I'm not an animal or something.
Meanwhile, one of his moves is he bites you.
He went all in with that character because I don't know if you remember, he actually covered up his tattoo. I think he had like a tiger tattoo, and he put a shark tattoo, right?
Yep,
that was real.
He
really actually
went over it.
Yeah, so he went all the way.
And then of course, he was all in too. Unfortunately, with this ridiculous gimmick, but whatever. Brutus, I love you, man. Whatever you had to do back then, but the match had started off with Sting and Shark. So Shark was hungry, so he started biting on Sting. It was funny when Shark thought he was a cruiserweight.
And he got caught.
He could jump over to.
I think he did it on purpose, though. I'm pretty sure he did it on purpose.
I hope
so. It was a good spot, yeah. It was a good spot.
But it was funny though. It was at least he gave it a try. You're like, I can do this. No, I can't. But in any event, the Dungeon won the coin toss, so now Sting would be at a disadvantage. The next went in was Zodiac, and every 2 minutes the next person would show up. It was followed by then Savage got in the ring, Kamala, then Luger, Ming, and then of course Hulk Hogan is the last one in the ring. Now, everything was going great for Hulk's team until Luger went for a clothesline on Zodiac and accidentally clotheslined Savage from behind. Yep. Then all of a sudden, Savage went loco again.
Right, and he already had his suspicions about Luger. So
yes, he did. And it's going to get so bad that it's going to be a match on Nitro that if Luger loses, he has to leave WCW. How this is going is just amazing. I really did get into this whole story thing with, can we trust Luger? Is he going to turn? Which eventually he does anyway.
I forgot, and I kind of forgot about this. It's just only now that I'm like, as we're rewatching this stuff, like I'm remembering how it was actually good.
Well, 28 years. I mean, damn. I don't think I watched in '95. I don't think I ever watched anything 28 years old back then. But once Hogan came in, here comes all the illegal stuff. He's got all the powder. They're going,
Mm,
oh, he's throwing napalm. And then for somehow Luger got some and was chucking it at people. I'm like, I don't know where,
that
if
was
you
crazy.
had it all along, brother, what are you doing with it now? But Hogan with a ridiculous camel clutch, not even a full one, on Zodiac gets him the submission because you have to surrender or submit. And Hogan's team gets the victory. So naturally, he's going to get now Kevin Sullivan in the ring. And he does. Everybody, as everybody leaves, again, Savage and Luger still at each other's throat. So Hogan's beating the hell out of the Taskmaster, and then all of a sudden, here comes the Giant, very agile back then.
Yeah, he grabbed the top of the cage and swung in.
Yup, and then jumps right over the rope. His Big Show, you'd be lucky if he can get through the rope. But and then
Well, the problem was that and the thing was that they had left. It was Hogan. They basically left. What's his name? The leader of the. Why am I forgetting his name? Taskmaster to Hogan.
Yeah.
And Hogan, the team had left, and so that opened up the And if remember at first he was hot, he didn't want to get in the ring, and anyway,
naturally, and they chased him.
Yeah, and the Giant does come out, and then the Giant destroys Hulk Hogan. Hogan put up a fight at first, but then
wrenches his neck
and cracks the neck. Yeah, it's crazy.
And then that's it. That's why the next night on Nitro they're showing up in the ambulance, all laughing and stuff. But
these guys, they eventually come back out. Luger and
oh yeah. Sting, Luger, Savage, they all came back as Giant and Sullivan escaped the cage. Yeah, the damage was done. They should have been out there to begin with. Yeah. Just sit there and watch him get his ass. Matter of fact, throw in a couple of shots for yourself.
Yeah, but no, it was entertaining. I mean, it's a little really silly. It's over the top, but I had fun with it. So it was still good. I thought it was a good pay-per-view.
We've read quite a few WCW pay-per-views. This one I'm not, because the storylines were comical but entertaining, like you said.
Yeah.
And the action was good, and the talent that you got in the ring at this time, it's like, damn, Vince.
Right, they got great talent, yeah, and they're building towards something. The story's going somewhere. So
yeah, to a 2-on-8 cage match.
Oh, Jesus,
unfortunately, there's only so far you could take this. Yeah, but it was what it was. But overall, it was a pretty good pay-per-view.
Yeah, I agree. All right, that's our review. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. See you guys soon.
Take care.